Hello, my Teaserking family. How is everybody today? I am good. Everything's good. So, had a good day yesterday. Let's see. Gold's up to 33.86. Have a nice morning. It was 33.70. Takes the quick drop to 33.40 at 4 o'clock. And then 6 o'clock up. 8 o'clock doesn't get hurt. 10 o'clock, it does a little drop from 30. We're at 33, like 97. Thought we'd see 3,400, but we're going to see it. It's going to be, I'm sure today we'll see 3,400. It's too close. It'll get pushed up. Today's a up day. It's amazing how manipulated, it's so manipulated that like yesterday was a down day, and then today Europe goes up, the US goes up, and it's just, it's like whatever number it's at is where it goes. So if it's at 34.50 drop, if at 33.20 it goes up. So I don't think you won't see 3,200 anymore. I think we're now there, 33.85 on our way to 34 very soon. We've got silver hanging in there, 36.28, up 14 cents. It's at least holding 6. So 37's coming soon. I don't know the number of the break. Could be 37. It could be 38. It was 34, 35 before, and now it's apparently not 35 or 36. It's probably 38. And it'll probably not just run as they thought they would. It would probably just do what gold does, but it'll probably get into 40s soon. Definitely by July 1st. We're at June 12th. So we have the 19th, the 26th. We got less than 3 weeks. And then we will see July 1st. We will see Basel III. We'll have to cover the silver or get out. I think COMEX will be gone. I think what China's doing now with the whole trade thing and everything they're doing, and Trump tries to be the aggressor, and they just laugh at him. You anybody that takes Iran oil will be sanctioned, and everybody's laughing like, no, we won't. We're not going to use you. So Trump's killing the dollar by himself, which is really strange. The unique thing about me is when I hear stuff, I don't take anything for face value. I simply look at it and does this make sense? I always want to know what makes sense and what doesn't. And in this case, what Trump's doing doesn't make any sense. He doesn't realize he's killing the country. He doesn't realize that the cost of the manufacturers are going up, not necessarily here. And it doesn't mean higher prices. Like I said, it's up to the market. I'm going to tariff Canada, and they make the whiskey, and it's going to be more expensive for them to make. And again, they have to make it for 40. They have to be able to sell at 50. Can they do that? I don't know. What's this normally sell for? 25. Well, they're not going to be able to raise the prices to cover the cost. That's why you can't just assume they're going to raise prices. These people are idiots that think, oh, prices will go up. Nah, the market is still the market. Now, yes, the dollar will be worth less. So if you take it to that standpoint where the market's worth less, the dollar's worth less, so therefore it takes more dollars to buy the goods, then yes, I agree with you. But we see some prices going up, but on really strange items, Lucky Charms and Fruit Loops and Oreo cookies. It doesn't make sense why those prices are up. Now, a lot of parents feed their kids all that crap for some reason. Um, I told my friend, I says, you can't feed your kids cereal. That'll kill them. So what should I feed them? I said, well, avocados, a little more fruit and a little more veggies and meat, eggs. If you want to give them breakfast, give eggs. You can make eggs the night before, put it in the fridge, and then just, hand it out. So eggs are good for lunch. I would give them celery or cauliflower with dressing, so it's not too bad. And let's kind of stay away from sandwiches and give them a hamburger, give them chicken or something like that. They should eat meat. They should eat more veggies and not Fritos and Oreos. That's why a lot of the kids are obese. Plus, school is so boring that you get hungry. I find when I'm at a job, I get bored. I eat. I get up and walk around because I'm so bored. So I'm trying to do something to wake up and do. And that happens when it's a bad boss and they don't know what they're doing. Like in most of my jobs, the bosses are terrible. It's not my fault, it's the boss's fault. No, I'm not trying to say that, but I do very good work. And if I run out of work, why isn't the boss going, do you have work to do? Or, try doing this, and this, and give me enough work to keep me busy. Or if I get my work done, why do you really give a fuck? I think that's the biggest problem. You get your work done at work. Why is it 8 hours and not productivity? So I need you to do this. I need you to do the accruals for the month. Okay, I do them in 20 minutes. Okay, I'm going to go home. See you later. I did the work that was needed. I painted the house. You want your house painted or your lawn mowed? Do you look at the time or do you paint them for the service? And that's the point of it. You do it. You pay them for the service. So why, when I go to a job, it's 8 hours, 40 hours, and you got to come in, you can't do it remote. Why? And that's ridiculous. If I came to mow your lawn, I would do it at 2:00 in the afternoon. I wouldn't do it at 8. I wouldn't get up at 8 to do it. And if I wanted to paint your house, if it took a few days, I would do it. I'd start at 10, 11 o'clock and then paint for a few hours, come back the next day, let it dry and paint it. So you're paying me to paint the house. And so why is sitting in an office any different? And it's boring. Most of the bosses are idiots. They don't know what they're doing. We all go through it where the boss is like an accountant, for example, and then he gets promoted to finance manager. He doesn't know how to manage. He's clueless. We don't even know if he knows finance. We doubt he knows budgeting. And we're sure as hell he doesn't know return on investment. But what he does know is, well, you got to work 40 hours and I have no idea how to give you work. So you kind of figure out what you need to do. I can't just figure that out. You've got to tell me direction. That'd be like a football team and you don't tell the quarterback to play. What do you want me to run? Well, whatever. You figure it out. Anyway, it's just ridiculous. And this is the problem with work, but it'll be ending for everybody soon. There won't be jobs. There's no economy here. They're killing it. As we say, an economy is markets. I sell the Canadian Club. I sell water. I sell avocados. I sell food and clothing and other stuff. Maybe I do a hotel where you travel to me, and then there's airplanes and you fly somewhere, and all that's business. Some for personal, some for business. So if I travel for a client, I might fly. If I travel, I might drive. If I travel for vacation, then it's for vacation. And that's the whole point. It gets that, but the problem is having good management. I mean, we see it in football. 7 coaches, 8 coaches fired every year because they're idiots and they listen to analytics and they don't know what they're doing, and they get fired every year. So that means you can't even hire 32 good football coaches. Well, how is a business like a Ford or a GM? They cannot hire good managers. They can't even hire good CEOs and CFOs. At Tenneco, their CFO is an idiot. Well, we only spend what we take in. Was that like third grade accounting? You're a CFO, and this is what you say. And I said to somebody, I said, well, that's not true. You do want to have some debt because you want to, because that was way over their head, because you want to pay back in inflation. Because of the inflation, the money's worthless. So you do want to borrow some to pay back in inflated dollars. It's really a good thing to do. But it's counter, you don't do too much, but you do take advantage of it, maybe 5%, 10% debt of which you can pay back, but it's got to be a good investment. It's got to have a good return on it. You don't just go into debt to go into debt, but that's way over the head of most, the CFO. He didn't understand it, but this is the problem. And then now you have, my boss was Brazilian. He doesn't understand. Look at the problem I have with Daria trying to understand cultures. This guy from Brazil, I mean, he's not even close to understanding how a U.S. guy works. I mean, I know what I'm doing. That's the point of Mercedes 4 years. So if there's a problem, it's not me, it's you, because you don't understand me. So that's a lot of problem with work. You don't really know what you should be getting paid. And then these hours are ridiculous. 40-hour weeks are ridiculous. It's productivity. I need you to do a budget. Okay, well, that's going to take me a couple months. I can't do it in a day. Give me a deadline. All right, you got 2 months to do the budget. Okay. And then you go with it. And that's your day. And there's no 8 hours. Well, why is there an 8 hour? Why is it an hourly? And then this whole thing with Doge and Elon Musk, where my friend at the DOD, he had to kind of work. He couldn't work from home anymore. He had to work from the office. So we don't trust you. Well, fuck you then. If you don't trust me, why would I work for you? Now, we have the advantage. If I don't like the way Ford works, I can go work at GM, or I can go work at Mercedes, or I could go work at Harley. I have options. I'm not, even though the communist thinks you don't have options, we have options based on skill set where we want to work. If you don't like one environment, you try another. You're just as valuable to them as they want you. They need you, right? They need a shortstop, right? They need a third baseman. They need a financial analyst, and it's not anybody can just do. And then you want to get paid for your degree and your skill set and your experience. Somebody called me the other day. It was a financial analyst job at $41 an hour. I laughed at him. I says, do you think that's all I'm worth? Or are you trying to take advantage of me because the economy is going is in a recession? So you're trying to take advantage of me. If I'm not working to get me for 41 an hour. So I said, minimum's 55. You want me? Master's, 20 years experience. That's what it's going to take. I don't work cheap. And why should I? I got gold and silver, so I'm okay. So, I'm smart enough to work around it, but I don't need the job. Oh, I'll take 41. You know how I would work at that? You know how long I would last at that job? Like 5 days. I mean, it would be, this is boring. This is way beneath me. It's one thing if I wanted to work at a grocery store or at a restaurant or some place, just being like a stock boy now and making $25 an hour just so I have income coming in. That's a different story. But when you're dealing with in finance, that's not 41, forget about it. So anyway, that's kind of where it's at. But with what's going on in the world with China and Russia and BRICS, they're all getting off the dollar, which means no demand for the dollar, which means the dollar's gone. You buy gold or silver, or you don't eat. So we know it. They know it. They just don't want you to know it. Interesting the way the government, they always have the excuse, we fucked up, but we don't want to cause panic. And we'll blame the cook. I was watching Under Siege, the first one, and the CIA guy goes, we'll blame the cook. Yeah, it's his fault. And I mean, that's the thing. It's just they'll blame somebody because they fucked up, but they don't want to cause panic. Well, it's your fault. You're causing panic. So you're going to cause everybody to starve to death and riots and everything else because you fucked up. And you don't want to, but you don't want to cause us. It's crazy. All right, let's get to baseball. We'll get to economics later. Gold, as we leave it, 33.82, silver 36.26. So let's see how far gold falls. It shouldn't go too much lower. Well, let's start with basketball. We nailed the basketball game. Everybody's sitting there taking. OKC looked good in game 2. Yeah, it was a must-win game at home. Of course, they look good. This game's at Indy, who won the first game. Everybody seems to forget. They were getting 5.5 points. This was a joke. So Indy plus 5.5 wins 116-107. Now they're up 2-1. And now we get to game 3. In OKC, 6.5, 225. So that total keeps dropping. Let's see, do we get there? No, we got 223. Every game's been under. Their total is way too high at 230, 228. Now it's 225. It's still too high. It'll never get there. There's too much pressure. The shooters, there's a lot of defense. I actually could watch the game. It was on ABC. This is the worst ref game I've ever seen. The guys are running into them and they're not calling fouls. What the fuck is wrong with the referees? This guy, whoever the MVP is a joke. Okay, you put Magic and Bird and Isaiah on the court, and this guy doesn't even measure up. He'd be on the bench. MVP my ass. So what does he do? He goes out at half court and dribbles around, and he's got a quick move. So he kind of reminds me of, I don't know, maybe Clyde Drexler, maybe something like that. Or he can shake and bake a little bit, and all he does is drive in. There's no passing. He just kind of goes around, tries to drive to his guy and get fouled. At least he's not just shooting 3-point shots. But when I look at Magic and I look at Isaiah and I look at even Jordan and I look at Larry Bird, this guy's nowhere near them. This guy's not even close to those. You put Magic on the court and this guy, and Magic passed the ball to other people. This guy's unable to it. Isaiah passed to the open guys. This guy's incapable. Bird, we know how good a passer he was. Jordan, he probably took a lot of shots. That's why they could never beat Bird or Isaiah. I mean, everybody gives Jordan this credit. He could never beat Jordan. He never beat Larry Bird. He never beat Isaiah until the last year. So he lost 3 times to Isaiah and then beat him at the last one when the Pistons didn't shake hands. Boston didn't shake Detroit's hands. Somehow they forget that. And that was it. So you basically, I look at this guy like, this league sucks. This league absolutely sucks. When you watch the 80s compared to this league, this isn't even pro basketball. I don't know what I was watching. It was like college. And then they'd drive the hoop and they'd get fouled and the ref didn't call any fouls. How fixed is this game? Jesus Christ. The guy drives the lane, gets hammered, and you're not calling a foul. I mean, one guy ran right into the guy's chest. No foul. One guy got I don't remember. He's getting pushed, no foul. Oh, it's out of bounds. Well, the guy got pushed. The refs probably are not even qualified. Very poor game. I don't even like all the crowds wearing yellow T-shirts. It's cute when Penn State wears white. Okay, that's cute. Not this shit. What is that? We all got to wear white. I would not wear the t-shirt because I'm not a communist where we're all one. We're all individuals. I'm going to wear my blue shirt, wear my green shirt, not like if I was at the game yesterday, I would not wear the yellow t-shirt. I tell them to fuck off. I'm wearing my blue shirt or my green shirt. I'm not wearing it because I'm not a group. I'm by myself. I'm an individual. But it's just so hard to watch. Really poor play. Terrible defense. Too many long shots. The guy takes 3 dribbles and shoots from half court because it's worth 3, not 2. I'm like, you got to be kidding. Although I am noticing, I think both teams are getting the ball in the paint more. They're driving more. They're not just what Steph Curry did was unique. He was a long range shooter. Okay, he could not have played in the 80s or 90s. He wouldn't have been any good. I mean, he would have called himself George Gervin, right? That's it. He's not. He couldn't really pass the ball well. Couldn't play defense, and I didn't see a lot of assists from him. So now the game's developed into these jump shooters, which is not how you win. The Boston Celtics of the 60s and UCLA of the 60s showed you how to win. You pass the ball. You pass it, it's a team, and the defense really can't stop it. That's why Wilt Chamberlain couldn't beat the Celtics. Wilt could score, but, Boston played that team passing offense. So did Magic when the Lakers in the 80s and Larry Bird. What did they do? They passed it all over the place, found the open men. They dunked the ball, or you got it to Kareem or James Worthy or Norm Nixon or whoever you want. And that's why they won, because you couldn't guard them. That's why Magic scored 50 points in that game 6 when Kareem was injured to win, because they couldn't guard him. He's passing all over. He's driving. It was beautiful. You don't see shit like that now. So you've totally got away from assist and a good guard who can pass the ball. That's no longer in the game. Are you fucking kidding me? What is that? This Halliburton guy, all he does is take jump shots. And then Indy's passes are terrible. They're like throwing it, but that doesn't add value. What does add value mean? I'm going to put it right on. It's like the quarterback. Mahomes hits the guy in stride, or Joe Burrow. He hits Chase in stride so he doesn't have to stop. So he catches the ball and then he can run for touchdowns. That's adding value. None of these passes by Indy or OKC added value. They weren't like, give him the ball and he's driving lane. I did see a few of them, but not a lot, where it would help the guy get a layup or get keep going for a good shot. It was all like these desperation passes. And then I never seen so many guys in the lane that can't dunk the ball. And then it gets blocked and then they don't call fouls. I mean, it's just, I don't know what sport I'm watching. I don't know what sport I'm watching when I watch baseball either. Let's put a guy on second. What the fuck's that all about? What do you mean, did they get a double? No. Then what are they doing on second? Well, we have these girls softball rules that says when we get to the 10th inning, we put a guy on second. So why are they ruining all our sports? Football. Well, you can't have a kickoff. Oh my God. Are you kidding me? Just kick the fucking ball off. What is the problem? Well, guys might get hurt. Well, a lot more guys are getting hurt when you play them Sunday and then you have a Thursday night game, or you fly them to Germany or England. A lot more guys are going to get hurt when you do that. You don't let them rest and they're tired. I wonder how many. Some guy can figure out how many injuries on Thursday versus the normal Sunday to Sunday, and I guarantee you it's double or triple. I mean, it's got to be. Anyway, so Indy wins the first game. The loser back, Oklahoma City, wins second game. The loser wins the third game, Indiana. Now we're caught. We got OKC laying 6.5. Friday night at Indy. I'm not sure they're capable of winning that game, but they are off the loss. I think Indy wins this game. I think Indy covers. I like the 6.5. I think that's a joke. I don't know why Indy gets so disrespected. They beat the Knicks and they beat these other teams, and then they won at OKC game 1. Oh, that's a fluke. Okay, they won at Indy game 3. At what point is it a fluke? And when they win the series, is that going to be a fluke? So you have the best player in the league on OKC is George Gervin. I mean, he's nobody. No, he's Clyde Drexler. He's not Magic. He's not Bird. He's not Jordan. He's not Isaiah. He's a nobody. All right. He has a move. He can drive, and this guy. If this guy's the best in the league sucks. Just like those other guys, Luca Brasi and the other Godfather cast members. They're terrible. To have your 7-footers shoot 3-point shots, like the guy on Denver and the guy on LA, it's sad. It's sad that the coach would allow that. No. Excuse me. You're 7 foot. You go under the basket. You're here to get rebounds and act like Kareem. Learn a sky hook. Okay, that's what I need you to do. If you shoot a 3-pointer, you're on the bench. That's how I would coach these guys. They're 7 foot. They shouldn't be 30 feet from the basket. Are you fucking kidding me? Okay, you miss, what you're going to do 80% of the time. Who's getting the rebound? Not you, not the 7-foot guy. It's so stupid. It's not even. And this is the problem with algorithms and analytics and all this bullshit. Well, if you shoot from 3, you get 3 points instead of 2. Yeah, but you make them 20% of the time, probably 10% of the time in the playoffs, because the defense is ratcheted up and you're playing better teams. You have to have an inside game. You have to have passing. If you don't have that, forget about it. This is ridiculous. So I like Indy getting 6.5. The only problem is it's not necessarily a must-win game for OKC. So we pray Indy wins game 4, and goes up 3-1. Then on Monday, why are they doing it on Monday? Why not Friday and then not Sunday? Okay, so Friday and then Monday, they go back to OKC. And that's where we're going to bet a ton. Hopefully, Indy wins the next game, because then Indy goes up 3-1, and then they can afford to lose, and OKC can't, and OKC will beat them by 50, and Indy won't care because we'll go home and win the series in game 6. So that's what we're praying for. We're praying for Indy to win. That's the best scenario. So I like the 6.5 again. Are you kidding me? You think OKC can beat this team in Indy by 6.5? OKC's not that good, and Indy is a lot better than you think, or for some reason nobody's giving him credit. Again, the only thing is, it's now. Well, what should be is Indy should be a 5-point favorite in the game, and then I would take OKC off the loss. How the fuck is OKC 6.5? At what point are you watching this game saying OKC's the better team? Game 2, in a must-win game for OKC, they're the better. Game 1, they weren't. Game 3, they certainly weren't yesterday. Indy plays very well. I'll give them credit. And OKC's not that good. Forget that they won 68 games. That's meaningless. What you look at is Indy beat New York, who was playing well. They didn't have to play Boston. I think they beat Cleveland or Milwaukee or whoever. I don't know. But Indy showed that they're not going to, this is a team that if they're going to get swept 4-0, would you take OKC lay 6.5 here? But not in this game. In this time, yeah, if they were playing the Pistons, I would lay the 6.5. They'd kill them. They're not going to go to Indy after we watched yesterday's game and blow them out by 10, 15 points. Not going to happen. They're going to be lucky to win the game, which I doubt they will. So game 4, we take Indy plus 6.5. It's a bad spread. Indy should be a 3 to 4 point favorite. And that's coming from a sharp. I love the sharp talk. Like Prophet knows Well, how do you know he's a sharp, and how do you know he bet the game? And can you define sharp for me? I mean, come on, man. What do you? It's disgraceful bringing sharps into it. I'm very good. I don't know what it is, but I'm very good at it. But I wouldn't call myself a sharp. All right. 6-11. Let's look at yesterday's games. Oh, we start off good. We got Pitt over Miami. Pitt wins 5-2. W. Our first 3-unit play, Philly over 8.5. Philly wins 7-2. We get to 9. That's a W. We hit the 3-unit. Cleveland under 8 loses, but it wasn't a bet. Atlanta under 8 is a push. They win 6-2. St. Louis under 8.5. That's a winner. They lose 5-2. Seattle loses. Ric Flair lost to Edward Rodriguez. Never heard of him. 2-3 with a 6-2-7. Seattle gets 2 runs, and somebody wants to say they're a good team. So Ric Flair loses. That's shocking. Oakland over 10, and it wins. LA 6, Oakland 5. Oakland over 10 is a winner. San Diego over 9 loses. I don't know what was going on there. 2 bad pitchers, but over 9, and it's a 5-2 game. Detroit over 9. I had Baltimore wins 10-1, 11. I get over 9's a W. The Mets over 8. No, sorry, they win 5-0. David Peterson gets the W. Boston over 10. No, 4-3. That's a loser. Not a bet though. Texas over 8.5. They play 6-2, so it's a loser by a half. Kansas City over the Yankees. Bubek again, 5-4 with a 1.92 ERA, and they give up 6 runs. It's crazy. The loser, the White Sox over 8.5. That wins. Houston wins 10-2. And the 49ers, the other 3-unit play, wins 10-7. So in my bets, Philly for 3 units, Frisco for 3 units, both win. The other 2 games, I had 3. Seattle, I lose. San Diego over 9, I lose. And Texas over 8.5, I lose. So I hit 2 3 units for 6 units, and I lose 3 2 units. So I break even with units. I do my Teaserking, and it's really just I'm not looking at juice, right? So if I make it like 10 units on the game, and roughly I call it 1,077 or whatever, and it loses, I'm not looking at juice on the games. I'm just looking, I either won it or I lost it, and we're just adding up basically units. How many units did I win? So I put it in unit and I put it in dollar, just either way, whatever. I don't know what you're looking at, but I look at it as mostly how many units did I win. And one guy said, well, you don't count juice in yours. And I go, yeah, but I'm 75%. Do I really care about the juice? That's not the point of showing the history. It's not me with my bets, right? I'm betting the games, but I'm not the 1,077, let's say, would be the bet. So that would include the juice, right? I mean, because when you make a bet, what do? You lay 110 to win 100. So I'm putting the 110 down, right? So if I put 1,077, I'm including the juice in there. So if I lose the 1,077. And if I win the 1,077, which is what you would do, because you get your juice back. So I don't know why the guy had a problem. Instead of looking at all the winners I was giving him, he looks at the juice, and you're like, you're missing the whole point. It's about picking the winner. So that's where I'm getting to. I had Philly over 8 and Frisco, both 3 units. So I won 6 units. Now they're money lines. So I might have laid 150 to win 100 or something like that, but that's not the point of it. The point is the units. The point is that the games win. I'm not trying to show that. Dario likes my photo. That's good. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is I'm trying to pick the game. I'm not keeping track of juice or money lines. That's not the point of what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to figure out how to pick the games, and I'm showing you. So you would have bet Frisco, you would have won. Of course, there's juice, but that's not the point of the exercise. But I always found it fascinating. So the guys, instead of looking that I'm up 30 units, he's well, you didn't count the juice in. Okay, I'm up 29 units. Like, what an idiot. Anyway, this is what's nuts. All right. So let's look at what we're doing today. And there's a short day today, about 5 or 6 games. We start off 1:10. That's 2 hours away. We got Washington at the JETS, Jets. The Jets are 225, 8.5. Michael Soroka, 3-3 with the 4.86 for Washington. Kota Senga, 6-3 with the 159. We're going with the JETSs. The Mets are doing good. They got 44 wins and Washington 30. Yeah, let's go 2 units because we don't have a lot of games. All right. Texas and Minnesota. Minnesota 158.5. We got Patrick Corbin 3-5 with the 3.52 against Bailey Over 4-2 with the 3.78. Texas does not normally score runs, although they scored 16 the other day. That's where you have to check. Did they get some injured players back? Like Philadelphia, is Bryce Harper back? He was out, and then he came back for a game or two, and then he was out again. So not really sure. And that's there's too much baseball to really start checking injuries like I do football. That's why I like football better. It's once a week. I could go in today for Sunday games and say, let's check the injuries, right? So I don't get blindsided in football. Baseball, the problem is it's the managers are terrible. You have pitchers going like Sanga today, 6-3 with a 1.59. Should go 8 innings. 120, 130 pitches. And then you have, Mariano Rivera coming in the ninth. This is what should happen. And they've made that far too complex by looking at numbers instead of managing, right? Instead of using your brain, they're looking at the numbers and they're letting the numbers dictate how they manage, which is why the managers suck, because they don't know what the hell they're doing. So here we got Texas, Minnesota, Corbin and over. Well, what is this? 5 innings, 6 innings? And then what happens? You bring in your bullpen guys for 3 innings. What's that? And who are they going to be? And you got 10 bullpen guys, and maybe 2 of them are major leaguers. Most of them suck. But all they got to do is pitch 1 inning. What is that? What kind of crap is that? So you can keep a guy in your roster who's good for 1 inning every 3 days. This is how you plan your roster out. And you wonder why don't you have a few more hitters on the team instead of just these 1 inning relievers? That's the hitter's more valuable than the reliever. So this is why you want your starters to go longer, and you don't want 5 days off. You want 4. And even that, like the Tigers, I think have 4 pitchers on the DL. And you wait, they're not even going 100 pitches, and they're going every 5th day, and they still get injured. There's a problem. It's not the time. It's not the 100 pitches. It's not going through the lineup the 3rd time. You guys are fucked with your analytics. Patrick Corbin, 3-5 to 3.52. Bailey over. I'm going to go under 8.5 here. Well, let's see. Texas, 3 hitters. Minnesota. So Minnesota can hit. 6 hitters and over. All right, I'll take Minnesota, but I really like the game under. I'm not going to bet it. I think it's an under game, but Minnie's with all the hitters, so we'll take them. Frisco, Colorado. Frisco minus 211. Hayden Birdsong, 3-1 with the 2.55, goes against Antonio Senzalita, 1-10 with the 6.68. So we bet the 49ers again, and we'll go 3 units again. And yes, it's $2. I don't care. A win's a win. So if I bet 200 and I add 100 to my bankroll, that's what I'm looking at. The fact it cost me 200. This is the team Colorado that's won 12 games, and a team San Francisco that's won 40. I think 200 is a steal. But everybody, I only go 120. Well, then you're missing out on half these good bets. We had them yesterday. Frisco, 3 unit, they win. Colorado has won 12, and 3 of them came 2 weeks ago against Miami. So they're still like a 9-win team. The 49ers, good pitcher with a 2.55 ERA against the pitchers 1-10 with the 6.68. Come on, what do you think's going to happen? Detroit goes to Baltimore. Detroit 44 wins, Baltimore 27. Detroit minus 190 with a total of 8. Tariffs. Now, what happened to him yesterday? Detroit lost 10-1. Now, granted, it was 3-1 in I believe the 8th inning, and Baltimore scored 7 runs in the 8th. The manager keeps bringing in Bo Brisky, who's got to have an 8 or 9 ERA by now. I don't understand the manager. How many times do you need to see Bo Brisky go out and give up 3-4 runs, but yet you keep putting him out there? At what point do you realize he sucks? This is what blows my mind. If the guy goes out and he sucks, and the guy goes out and he sucks, I don't need to see him. Send him to the minor leagues. He should not be in the major leagues. He cannot be counted on to go out and shut him out for his 1 inning. So 10-1 Baltimore is happy to see that. Tarek Skubal, not as good as Max Fried. I'm sorry. I don't give a fuck. He's 6-2 at the 2.16. Max Fried's 9-1 with a 1.90. Yeah, I think Max Fried's probably a little better this year. Dean Kremer 5-6 with the 4.98 for Baltimore. Detroit. I don't know. The guy changes his lineup. This is how stupid the manager is. He puts a guy hitting like 175 as the leadoff hitter, because last year he hit 300. That's how consistent it is. This year he's hitting 170. He's got him leading off. The big hitter, who's been the leadoff hitter, he's got him batting third. And then he keeps batting this Torkelson fourth or fifth, who's hitting like 230. Probably needs to drop him down to eighth or ninth. And you got better hitters, and he doesn't play the hot hitters. He doesn't know what he's doing. Yeah, but they got 44 wins. Well, they have a lot of good hitters on their team. He just is putting in his lineup. And then the pinch hitters all the time. Wow, this is weird. I got Scooble, but now I don't have the guy. I think I have a new pitcher. They changed. Can you believe that in mid form? What did I just say? And then here comes Keenan Aiken with a 2.89. This is wild. I've never seen this while I'm doing this, that they actually changed pitchers on us. Keegan Allen, 31 strikeouts, 14 walks, a lot of walks. Out of Western Michigan, from Michigan, 1995. He is a bullpen guy. So we went to the bullpen. So this guy with a 2.89 out of the bullpen, out of his 1 innings. Give him 2 innings, maybe 3, and then here comes bullpen. Do you have 9 guys so they can all pitch 1 inning? This I don't know. Scooble. Baltimore has 4 hitters now. Detroit has like 6. Detroit's 190. You think Detroit should win, but they're not nearly as good on the road. And it's just funny how everybody thinks Baltimore is not that good. Well, they're 27-39. They're not playing great. They've had injuries. But this is not like football where Detroit's going to go into Baltimore and win. Well, they wouldn't if it was football. Baltimore would kill them. But it's Detroit going on the road in baseball is far different than Detroit at home. Baltimore is much better at home again, and they get that 9th inning thing. Minus 190 and 8. Keegan Atkin 1-0. So this guy's a bullpenner. So Scooble. I think you got to go under. Detroit's just not hitting. Detroit under 8. I'm not going to bet it because every time I do, if I go under 8, it'll go 8. Can I bet Scooble? He should win, but I don't think they're going to score a lot. I just don't know. It's all bullpen. So, yeah, maybe. All right, so the logical play would be to take Detroit. All right, so let's take Detroit. That's the logical play. We'll take Detroit to win, not the under 8, because we don't know all these bullpen guys on Baltimore. And again, just because Detroit has 44 wins does not make them the best team. It gives them the best record, but then it's like college football where they're playing. Alabama's playing McNeese State. They're not playing Division I teams, and that's how Detroit is. They played the White Sox, who they lost to, and Colorado and crap like that. So the 44 is not when Philadelphia is playing the Cubs 25 times. The two best teams, and the Dodgers and San Diego. They got to play good teams. Cleveland's probably the best team they played. So I'm not buying Detroit. 44-25 is all that. They're not the best team. The best team would not have lost 10-1 to Baltimore yesterday or split with the White Sox. They're a good team. Scooble is a good pitcher, not a great pitcher. How is he in the clutch? And he doesn't go 9 innings. So, he did go 9 innings that one game. So I don't know. He had that showdown with Kansas City, and he lost 1-0 because Bo Brisky came in the 8th to lose the game for him. It's hard to say. The manager's so bad that does he, well, we can't let him pitch 100 pitches. I mean, Jesus Christ, this is just it's getting sickening already. These are professional athletes. He could pitch 150 pitches. It would not hurt him. but you've got them so psyched out that they're like, oh, I'm at 85. That's it. They're going to pull me. So the whole mindset's wrong. You want to, this guy should pitch 9 innings today, right? Not 6, not, oh, he can't go to third time through the lineup. If he's on today, he should pitch 9 innings. That's it, period. You shouldn't go to your bullpen, especially a Bo Brisky. And, you got 1 or 2 closers. I don't know. You got 16 closers. They're all over the place. Well, you're going to pitch the 7th inning. But that's it. You might get tired. Well, I just do 3 strikeouts. No. But that's it. That's all you can play. It's insanity. All right. So take Detroit, St. Louis, Milwaukee. St. Louis 135.8. Sonny Gray 7-1 with a 3.35. Jacob Misarowski, who's obviously not there. So we got to go with St. Louis today and Sonny Gray. And by the way, both those teams have 36 wins. So it's not like the Tigers have 40 wins. What do they got? 44 wins. Everybody else is sitting at 20. So it's a joke. All right. A lot of it's the schedule and who they played and where they played them. The Yankees, 41-25, KC, 34-20. The other thing is who they pitch against. The Cubs, they did not place the Cubs' best pitchers. And they beat the Cubs with Skubal and Doyle Alexander, whoever the other guy is. They didn't, so wait a minute. It's not at Wrigley, and it's not the best pitchers that you would get in a playoff. Okay. Yankees, KC. Yankees 145-9. Will Warren, who I'm not impressed with, 4-3 with the 5.34. Seth Lugo 3-5 with the 3.46. He's pretty good. I don't like the Yankees at 145 favorite. That's ridiculous. Total of 9. KC 6. Let's go over in the game. KC over 9. We'll go 2 units there. Pitt and the Cubbies. Andrew Haney for Pitt, 3-4 with the 3.24 against James Talion, 6-3 with the 3.54. Chicago's minus 200, 7.5. I like the Cubbies. I like this guy against the Tigers. He shut him out, so I like that. And they got a hell of a closer, the Cubbies. This guy throws 100 miles an hour. So I like the Cubs in this. Pitt just won't hit enough. Andrew Haney will help them. It could be low scoring, but I think I'll take Talion. And the last game, the White Sox in Houston. Houston 225, 7.5. Davis Martin 2-6 with the 3.62. That means he does well. They just don't hit. Against Framber Valdez, 6-4 with the 3.07. He's one of their best pitchers. Houston with 37 wins, Chicago 23, but they split with Detroit. They're playing much better now. They're starting to hit the ball. They're starting to look more like a team, so it's not a cakewalk. I think the spread's too high here. Again, Davis Martin 2-6, but he's got a 3.62, so he's losing games 2-1. He's not a bad pitcher. So I'm going to have to go. Cubbies, White Sox, Houston. 4 pitchers. I'm going to have to go under here. Planet Houston under 7.5. I'm not going to bet. So we've actually got 5 bets out of 8 games. We took the JETS, Jets, 2 units. 49ers, 3 units. Detroit, 2 units. Kansas City over 9, 2. And the Cubbies, 2. So 5 games. Again, it's what is needed. All right, so that is baseball. So it's a abbreviated. Now, if Monday was travel day. What's Thursday's travel day? I guess. I don't know. But that's what we have. So the Mets, 2 units. The 49ers, 3. They're playing Colorado. Detroit, School Bowl. Kansas City over 9. They're playing the Yankees. 2 bad pitchers. The Cubbies got their guy Italian on the mound. So you can see the rhyme or reason as you're betting the pitchers with the good pitchers you're looking for to bet. The Montanas, the Elways, the Mahomes, the Burrows. You want to bet on the studs. So that is what's going on in baseball. Basketball will be tomorrow. The U.S. Open is on today. Let's look at what's going on in the stock market today. And the Dow, somehow it's only down $32. The tariffs are in, the dollar's out, inflation's huge, and it's down $32. Unbelievable. Let's see if gold, do we get 33.87, a nice little jump, and 36.26. So it's a nice jump for gold. See how it kind of feathers down and it hits a point at 33.80 and then back to 33.90. So we should see 3,400 by tomorrow for sure. This we're getting stuck at 36.25. We are in the 36s, so we got to be happy about that, but we should be a little bit higher. All right. Let's go on our YouTube and see what the hell. Will NATO lose to Russia? Who doesn't want war, so who's provoking it? It's England. Deadly ways to take down your enemies. Oh, sounds exciting. The Stoics. I love the Stoics. Anybody going to Niagara Falls? I think I ate there once. Nice view. See, I hate these. It's all planned for the end of June. Well, he probably said the same thing. It's all planned for the end of May. And when you listen, he doesn't even know what he's talking about from an economic standpoint. He's good with this other crap, but when it comes to the economy and that other guy, the colonel who we like, doesn't, the gold. Well, what do you want to hold? Toilet paper? See, now this is interesting. These three have combined. You can see they're all war people. This is in Africa. So they're all saying we don't need France, we don't need the US. They want to just develop it. Trump calls Z, BRICS says no. Trump furious as BRICS stitches dollar in massive $648 billion deal. So they paint it like Trump's trying to control China and that China's saying no chance. And I don't know what he thinks about BRICS, that he doesn't understand that they're very powerful. They have gold, which is the key. So I don't know what Trump's thinking. But it looks like very soon the dollar's gone. They ditched the dollar. Nobody wants the dollar, therefore there's no demand for the dollar, therefore it has no value. Get your wheelbarrows. Go to Home Depot and get wheelbarrows. See, again, this guy, he doesn't understand economics. He's a good colonel, but when it comes to economics, he doesn't get it, and it's hard to listen to him. Oh, buy Bitcoin. Sorry, fella, not interested. So what we have that I'm watching is a lot of this uh, Trump demands BRICS cancel, uh, 31 trillion exit, Wall Street panic with China and factories. China just cut off all U.S. exports. And then we have U.S. orders global banks, U.S. warning to World Bank fails, BRICS cancels all USD. So I can play a couple if you'd like, let me know. But otherwise, I mean, they're out there, this ancient craft. But basically, it's Trump going, don't abandon the dollar. And they're going, but we already have this gold backed currency we're using. BRICS is not really competing with, I guess they're competing with the dollar. They're not trying to get rid of the dollar. They're really not. They're just, we have McDonald's and here's Wendy's. It's totally different. You choose which one you want. It's just competition. It's not Wendy's is here. We're going to get rid of McDonald's. We're going to compete with McDonald's. That's what BRICS is. We're going to compete with the dollar, only we're in gold, and our menu is better than your menu. Your menu sucks. And really, that's the key to it. That's the point. Is the dollar is gone. Everybody knows it's not worth anything. They can't sell treasuries. We buy our own treasuries. I love that one. Oh yeah, I'm going to sell my Canadian club. I'll buy it. Well, you're the one selling it. You don't buy your own stuff. What kind of fucked up economic system do we have? Trump is, and the Scott Simpson guy look dumber and dumber and dumber. I mean, you think, well, they're being stupid on purpose. No, I'm pretty sure they're just being stupid. I don't think it's on purpose. Um, they're idiots. So soybeans got returned. Meat got returned by China. The farmers are in trouble because nobody wants to buy their good. I mean, we sell a lot to China, and they're refusing it because we're fucking around with these tariffs. What are you doing? You're killing your own people with these stupid tariffs. Let it go. End the tariffs. This is why I say we need free trade. Free trade is the best thing you can possibly have. Let's see. Where's my notes? About what a country needs to be successful. Where is that? Well, here's what the University of Salamanca, which is capitalism. So this is basically the same thing. Everybody has a right to private property, free trade, written constitutions. So you have a playbook for laws, no inflation, money's wealth, gold backed currency, low taxes, and little government. And that's how you're successful. Why is this so hard to follow? Get rid of the private property because you want that in. Laissez-faire, leave it alone. Where's my other thing? Keep government out of the way. Yes, that's a critical thing. What's the other thing? What was my, the invisible hand. That's what I was looking for. So what's the invisible hand? People should be free to make money by producing what the people want, what the demand is. What do people want? By self-interest, supply, price, best way to spend wealth, productivity increases, prices go down, best for public to promote common good. The economy is automatic. So if you just stay the fuck out of it, everything will be fine. So this is what the problems are. You've got government interfering with a lot. So laissez-faire, leave it alone. In other words, just let me and you handle whatever we want, our business. You want to buy Canadian Club? I got a bottle. Here you go. Free trade, no tax, no tariff. As the supply goes up, the prices go down, like in TVs and phones and DVDs and computers, where now everybody's making them. The prices dropped a lot. Productivity increases, prices go down. So you get more on the computer and the prices drop. It's the best for the public because you're buying a better computer or a better phone cheaper. The economy is automatic. Just get out of the way, government. Laissez-faire, leave it alone, keep government out of it. I mean, just central things that you should have. And if we look at why everything failed, it's the same thing. Rome, 250 BC to 500 AD, not 1700 years, 750 years. The medieval times, 500 to 1500 AD. Mercantilism, which is socialism, 1500 to 1821. Classical liberal, which is Adam Smith, 1821 to 1914. That was the most successful time in the history of man. The era of regulation intervention is 1914. It's basically the central banks. And then the area of entitlement, where people think they're entitled to money, which is pure socialism, 1975 to today. What is the key fact of each period? So again, the Romans, low tax, free trade, leaders were elected, a republic, free enterprise. Rome grew very quickly. It's not that hard. That's all you have to do. That's all you have to do is just, it's right here. It's not like, oh, what do we do? It's right here. Free trade's the number one thing. Why don't we have free trade? Why are we doing tariffs? Now, in the beginning, if we go back to 1776, we did have tariffs, but we made everything. The tariffs were for like the Britons buying our cotton or something. But it wasn't about, it wasn't what they're doing now, where we're going to charge China to pay our $37 trillion debt. The Federal Reserve. So let's talk about that. People think the Federal Reserve is good. Okay. Yeah. Fuck off. From 1830 to 1861, we had free banking, little inflation. All banks printed money, promised to pay with gold. Gold system. 1862 to 1913, national banking system. Suspend gold operations. Only national banks can print money. It was backed by gold or government bonds. So I'm confused. I don't know what suspend gold operations meant, but they did have gold-backed currency. We were on the gold standard from then. 1913 to the present Federal Reserve System, only the Fed can print money, which is a monopoly, which you know right away is a problem. Who can print dollars? Central bank monopoly on printing, the only one, a lot of inflation and a lot of wars. So explain to me how the central bank was good for the country. You printed a lot of inflation, which killed the value of your own dollar, and you had wars. How is printing the value of the dollar good for the country? How are wars good for the country? Oh, it helps the defense contractors. Oh, so silly me. How it works and what it does, the Fed. 3 promises the Fed was supposed to do: overcome the trade cycle, increase the money supply or inflate, stabilize the value of the dollar. The dollar is worth 11 cents. Back on 5/26/93, it was worth 11 cents. Now it's worth 1 and I think 0. Prevent bank failures, more bank failures than ever. So the central bank's done a wonderful job. This again is in 1993. None of the promises have worked. So the whole point of the Fed has not worked. Cash is a small part of the money supply. Fed is the government's bank, and it's a monopoly. So we know how corrupt the Fed is, or the government is, and that's because they can go to the Fed and say print. What the Fed does, reserve requirements, open market operations. So reserve requirements is how much money the banks have to keep on hand for the customers. Open market operations, what the Fed buys bonds from Salomon Brothers. Money goes right back into the Fed on reserves, excess reserve, most widely used. And 3, discounting, relationship between the Fed and a member bank. Fed will help a member bank that's in trouble. Banks borrow money by selling assets to the Fed. Discount rate around 3%. Banks sell $100 to the Fed for 98. Fed just credits the account. Fed creates banks' reserves. We've talked about inflation 8,000 times. And we just talked economic history. So we know what, and then we know what is a good country, as I've just talked about. Private property. So the government is not the monopoly that owns anything, which all you communists out there go fuck off, because the communists don't want private property. They want the state to control everything. How do they want that and think that's good? I don't know. You want to own your own stuff. You don't want anybody to own your stuff. Free trade, critical. Written constitution, so everybody knows what the law is. No inflation. Sound money, gold-backed currency. Low taxes, because if there's only so much money, if we keep it, we spend it. It's better for the economy if we have it than if we give it to the government in taxes or tariffs. If we give our money to them, they don't spend it properly. And little government, because as we can see right now, big government costs too much. I mean, it's as simple as that. So we're running a Canadian club, and I worked there, and it was great. So we're running this, right? Well, okay, how many employees do we need? Well, we need a guy, we need marketing, and we need HR, and we need finance, and we need sales, 50 people. And can we afford 50 people and be profitable? Yes, okay. But if we had 5,000 people, would we be profitable? No, we only need 50. So that's eating into our profits. But at least we sell a product that makes money. Government doesn't make money. They don't sell a profit. They're corrupt, but they have way too many employees, and they're extremely corrupt. And what they do, a lot of it is not needed. Homeland security. What do you need that for? You got the FBI and you got the CIA. What do you need all that crap for? You don't need that crap. You don't need the federal stuff. Just let the states handle it. So you got a lot of duplication of efforts. You got the DOD. What do you got the DOD for? And then you got the defense contractors. You don't need both. Um, how many weapons do you need? Well, there's no wars unless you're creating them. Um, and then the Department of Education, Health Education, the drugs, FDA. I mean, you've got all these departments that aren't needed. If you would let the market control it and laissez-faire, keep the government out and let the invisible hand work, where 5 or 6 different drug companies they don't want to kill their customers, would make a drug that works. Hence, you don't need the government saying to use it. You have the competition saying this one. Just like on your TV or your laptop or your phone or your laptop, you have competition. And if one sucks, you don't buy it. And then you go to the others. So you get feedback. Yeah, this is really good. Okay, fine. I mean, that's what eBay is. eBay is a perfect example of classical of Austrian economics. If the buyer doesn't produce, you give him a negative. He's got 10 negatives. I'm not going to buy from him. So that's the invisible hand right there. He must do a good job or he's gone. And that's what it is. So that's the real situation. It all comes back to Adam Smith, who I learned from. It all comes back to competition. It all comes back to let us compete, and then the market will dictate who they like better. And if my price is too high and you go to the other guy, I got to lower my price. I don't need the government involved. So like I say, this is it. Small government, because you can't afford a big government, right? Look at the US. How many people do we have in government? Where are we getting the money to pay for the government? We don't have the money. Oh, we'll print it. Yeah, because nothing will happen if we print the money to zero. If your money's not backed by an anchor, gold or silver, you're fucked. That's why I show you the baseball cards and I show you a 200 count, a 200 count Brady, a 1 count Iserman. They're worth a lot more. Why? Because there's very few of them. But the dollar, there's 150 trillion of them. Nobody wants them. Plus, nobody wants the corruption that goes along with it. Well, if we do loan you money, you're going to have to pay us back and pay off our $37 trillion debt while you're doing it. So that's what I showed you. China's saying, no, we don't want it. We're not going to buy your treasuries. And we're going to keep dumping dollars because they're not worth anything. Because most people realize that the dollar gets printed to death. See, some people think, I heard somebody say about China that they're buying all the gold because they know capitalist countries go out of business, have trouble. They go broke. Well, that's not necessarily true. It's not that they're capitalism. It's because they're not backed by gold. That's why the U.S. is going broke, and that's why England went broke and Rome went broke, was the inflation. You had bad money. You no longer had gold backing your money. You just printed it. It didn't matter if it was capitalist. Rome was capitalist, but it didn't go out because of that. It went out because of the money. It comes out because of the power, because of the government gets too big. They went to a dictator instead of the presidents. That's what happened when Caesar took over. They make Caesar look good, like he was smart and he wanted to do everything. But then once he took over and made it an empire, it never went back to a republic where it should have. So that's really what you have is it's not because of it's capitalistic. Capitalism is fine. It's when you ruin your money. That's when this Ray Dalio guy, idiot. It's when you ruin your money is when the strong goes out. France and England and Germany and Rome, name the country, and they went out because they inflated their money supply because they printed it to death. It's very simple. And those with gold became the national powers. They were the Alabamas. They had the gold. See, I'm not Like Holland was number one from 1600 to 1650. What happened to them? They were the world financial center. They were the world shippers. What happened? France, they went to war too much. And then you have the revolution, 1776. Was that Plato and private property, no family influence, no religion, no monarchy. He was a communist. There you go. You can tell the communists they don't want family. They don't want religion. Let's see, 1776, the American Revolution, and they followed Adam Smith, as we know, gold, free trade, low taxes, low government, and we had a constitution. I don't know why it's so difficult for people. He says production is the source of wealth. More efficient the division of labor, the more productive the people will be. So that's why I say about the division of labor. You know, when I'm younger, I don't have a skill set, but then I get a degree and then I get a master's and then I learn finance and I learn economics at the same time. That was a fluke. I really wasn't going to learn Austrian economics. That's why fate lends a hand. I was there because I had a undergrad in like little statistics, a little business. But as I got in the workforce, I liked the analyzing part, probably from football cards and football. And then as I get going, I then, where I went for college, then they did teach Austrian economics, which was fabulous. Keynesians put you to sleep and you didn't know what the fuck they were talking about. Austrian was in English, and that made a huge difference. So by going for that, increased my what do we call it? My production, my division of labor went up. Now I'm an economist and in finance. I got a master's in it, so I can make more money because my skill set went up. It's funny how people just assume stuff. Well, yeah, let's see. You got a master's in finance, but you probably don't know what a return on investment is. And I'm like, yeah, I probably do. You know, because you get into a job and it's not like you go to work at Ford. It's not like you can do whatever you want. You're in a department. I was with the engineers. I was their finance guy. How am I going to do return on investment? It's not part of that group. It's so stupid. These people are just so stupid. That gets back to me to the management is absolutely incapable of managing. 99% of the managers at these companies should be shot and killed. I mean, they're just too stupid to be there. They maybe, so you got a CPA. Well, he knows accounting. That's all he knows. He knows accounting and he maybe knows taxes. That's it. That's all a CPA. They don't know budgets. They don't know finance. They certainly don't know economics. And, you know, then they get a guy like me. They have no idea of my skill set or how to handle me or what I know. And because they don't see something on my resume, they just assume you don't know how to do it. Is just asinine. Anyway, so that's what you're at. So your division of labor goes up. That's the key to it. Now with AI, I would recommend everybody getting a degree in AI or learning AI. There's probably no degrees to get. And you just take some AI classes online or just go onto YouTube here and search AI, programming or AI engineering or whatever they call it, and learn AI. And then your standard, your division of labor goes to the moon because it's highly demanded and you'll get a high paycheck because there's very few supply of AI engineers or whatever they call it. So that would be a great field to get into, and you really make a lot of money because AI is here, but nobody knows what the hell it is. Nobody knows what they're doing. And that always happens. But see, you're working on the line at Ford and you lost your job to a robot or an AI. Well, then go get the AI background to run the AI things. and then you make a lot more money. So you're supposed to keep growing with as new things come in. You learn that, and then you've got that skill. There's few people that do it, and you make a lot of money because you get money based on your skill set that the market depends on. The market doesn't need horse and buggy guys. The market does need AI programmers. So go to what the market is, and then you'll be fine. But the market doesn't tell you is gold and silver, is the dollar. You have to understand the dollar being worthless. So we have all this. Right. So the French Revolution, reign of terror with Robespierre, wage and price controls. We see how good that does. Here comes Napoleon. They go to war. So you see it coming all the time. They print money for the war. So France is the number one economy in 1789. So let's say we're living in France right now. France went to war a lot. 65% went to interest on the national debt. Does that sound familiar? So if you see you have a big debt, you know you're on your last leg. Oh, yeah, we have a $37 trillion debt. We're fucked here. So that's one key to read is your debt. Why do you have this debt? Why are you spending money you don't have? Because we want to go to war. Why do we want to go to war? We've got all the money. What do we need? What do we need war? Why did they go to Russia? What was the what are you trying to get out of Russia? What did they have? Horse and buggies back then? I mean, they didn't have anything in Russia in 18. What was this night? Waterloo was when. Where was Napoleon? Napoleon. 1815 is Waterloo. So what do they have at Waterloo? Jesus. Hey, I'll call you Magender. Hello. Good morning. So let's pretend we're in France, and we're trying to decide what's going on. 65% went to interest on the debt. Why do we have a debt? Because we go to war a lot. Why the hell are we going to war a lot? We got all the gold. It makes no sense. And 65% of the interest went to the debt. They went broke. Tax rate 50% on individuals. More money going to the government than into the economy, because the government is not the economy. The government does not go to Target and Kroger's and buy stuff that we do, and people learn from it. The government takes the money and pays the debt off. It's not a very good way to spend the money. Estates General, Constitutional Convention, Talleyrand, print up paper money versus the church's land. Church owned 30% of the land, started the French Revolution. Print money, and what happens when we print money? Oh yeah, inflation goes up, and of course then prices go up because you printed a lot of money, made the money worthless. It's the same story. Choose whatever country you want. It's the same story. Then Robespierre comes in, wage and price controls, reign of terror, chops off heads. What was that all about? France is in total chaos. Now here comes Napoleon. So the military jumps in. He's the dictator. No more paper money. He puts France on the gold standard. So he was smart. Lowers taxes to 15%. Smart guy, wins battles, reinforced trade restrictions, and then he gets Waterlooed in 1815. Mercantilism dies with Napoleon defeat. Mercantilism is socialism, not capitalism. So socialism dies when he lost. This is in 1815. So you can see it coming. A huge debt, a huge tax rate, basically all the money going to the government, and the government is not capable of spending money like the people are. Everybody's starved. You got heads chopped off. So as soon as you see a high national debt and money printing, don't walk, but run to where the gold is. So we need to run to Russia and China. Although I'm not sure I want to be in China with the communism, maybe Russia, but I want to be in a BRICS country. I want to go where the gold is, because we know what's going to happen here. We have a high debt. We have high money printing. We have a corrupt government, and there's no gold or silver. So it's 0 for 4 in the U.S. How can it survive? France couldn't survive. England couldn't survive. What else was there? America worked because we had the gold standard until they went to a central bank. And when we went to a central bank, we fucked ourselves. We got off of gold and we started printing money, going to war, World War I, World War II, Vietnam, Korea. Now we're at war with Russia. Real smart move that is. And we're in Israel. What the fuck are we doing? Well, we're going to sell arms. No. You want the market to work, you idiots. You don't want war. Wars are very expensive. It fucked Napoleon. It fucked France. It fucked England. England went broke because of World War I and World War II. Germany went broke because they had to pay the debts from World War I. That's why they printed all the money to pay their war debts, and then you can't, and then the money went bankrupt. People borrowed from London, and London invested in other countries. World War I ends classical liberalism in 1914. From 1914 to 1965. So that's sort of classical liberalism is capitalist, gold and everything. From 1914 to 1965, central bank comes in. Interventionism era, government intervenes in the economy. Remember, it's supposed to be laissez-faire, leave it alone, keep the government out. That's what Adam Smith says. That's what worked from 1776 to 1914 in America. We were the best country. The world had the best productivity from 1879 to 1914 until the central bank, which is communist. That's communism. The central bank will plan the economy and try to control the economy and they're the only ones that print. So instead of having competition, the money goes out because central bank says, hey, this is great. We'll just keep printing money. Government and the progressive income tax comes in 1914. We did not have income tax before 1914. They had the small tariffs because the U.S. was its own country. And it was hard to trade because then you had to do boats. And that's why Amsterdam was high and France was high in England. That's why these were all number one powers, because they had the boats to get around to trade. It shows you how important trade is, but it was all free trade. And they had the gold, and that's where they got the gold. The Fed came in due to political factors. Some groups favored over others. Government tried to regulate the economy. Spanned by two wars and the Great Depression, government expanded but never shrank, benefit with contributions. From 1965 to present, we're in the era of entitlement, where people are just given money. LBJ started this, entitled to the benefit, healthcare, Essence entitled to benefit without contribution. That's what welfare is. You're not paying in. At least Social Security, I paid into it. All I want is my money out. So I don't feel bad about getting my Social Security check once a month. It's way smaller than it should be. And the way they use it is based on inflation, which is, as we say, it is not a year over year thing. It's much bigger than that, right? Let's go back to 1971 if you want to talk about inflation. Boy, Daria's she must feel something, because I didn't feel for her the last 2 days. I kind of felt like we're not going to meet, and I didn't know what to do, but she must have sensed that, because she's like all over me today, which feels good. That's why I'm with her. So the president and Congress are just fundraisers now, which is they don't do anything. They're not qualified. They get money from the lobbyists, which are the defense contractors, and that's basically who's running the country, is the defense contractors. Biden certainly didn't even know what day it was. Trump, I don't know what he's doing. Let's do tariffs. He's being run by George Soros, who wants to destroy the country. So he's doing a good job. Let's see what other goodies we can come up with. And then we get to gold. Articles of Confederation. Before the Constitution, no taxes. They taxed tariffs. So they taxed the trade. So if you wanted to buy cotton from the South, that's what the cotton gin was and the cotton pickers, and you would sell the cotton to Britain. And if you wanted to buy it, then you paid a sales tax. But there was no income tax, no common courtesy. New York was taking Pennsylvania. This was bad. So in 1787, the new Constitution, U.S. is a single nation, 4 economic provisions. 1, outlawed tariffs between states, but not as the country as a whole. So the U.S. would tariff Britain, but they wouldn't tariff, New York would not tariff Philadelphia. U.S. was the world's largest free trade market, of course. Metallic standard, no state can make anything but gold or silver the legal tender. How the hell did we get away from that? And there was enough gold, apparently, that they did it. But what they did was they came out with dollars. So not everybody needed to carry gold with them, but a lot of people did. And then that made this worth X amount in gold. So you could print a lot of dollars, and then you just raised the value of the gold so you could print more dollars, and you walked around with dollars. You didn't walk around with gold coins, although they did in San Francisco, the 49ers. That's where they came from, was the gold rush in California, 1849. Tax limitation, taxes levied by a state's population. Takings clause, private property cannot be taken for public use without just compensation. This made the U.S. the economic leader of the world. Why is this so hard to follow? It's in black and fucking white. This is Austrian economics. I don't think it's in the Keynesian playbooks. It is night in India. Yeah, you guys are 12 hours ahead or behind. I think you're now Friday morning, I believe. Yeah, I know how it works. You're 12, 13 hours ahead. So is Asia. Europe's 7 hours ahead. So when I talk to Daria in Russia, it's 7:30 there. So what is the thing? So we go to gold, 1787, and we are very, very successful. Why do we get off of it? It's in the Constitution. You have to use it. They knew what happened to all the other countries who didn't have gold. France, who I told you about, England, who just printed the money and it went broke because they went into debt. Because if you have unlimited, it's like eating. It's like eating. You have cakes and cookies and ice cream, and there's no stop it. So you just dinner. I'm going to have cake. Lunch. I'm going to have cookies, and you just have unlimited until you start gaining a lot of weight, and now you're fucked. And that's basically what happens. Is the dollar, if it's not controlled by gold, it gets printed to death. And the problem is the president or whoever's in charge, the government doesn't understand that, or they get greedy, they get blinded. They go, oh, well, just keep printing money. We'll print and print and print. Well, you can see the effects right now. But we know the effects. This is where I vehemently say I am not guessing. This is not an opinion. This is facts. And you can see it right in my notes that every time they get off the gold standard, they go to zero. 100%. And I'm talking Rome, England, France, the Netherlands, Spain, Portugal, and they all got rich because they had boats and they could trade, and they all made a lot of money. And then they probably traded for gold or something. That's where it comes from. One idiot sailor thinks you can inflate gold because in Spain they went to Mexico and they they basically stole all their gold, and they said, "Oh, look, you had inflation with gold," and it's like, oh, not really. And that was a one timer that you're not going to really do again. But it's when you inflate anything, you're going to have inflation. But you can't inflate gold now. It was a fluke because they found all this gold in Mexico. The Incas and the Aztecs had the gold, and they stole it basically. But if it stayed in Mexico, you wouldn't have had gold inflation, and that was only in Spain. But you can see the problem. Let's have a war. Why are we always at war? I don't get it. You have the gold, just buy it. What is it you wanted from Russia? Go buy it from them. Here's 100 ounces of gold. I want to buy this or that. You're in France. What is it that you want in Russia? Oil, maybe? They had oil, so buy it. You've got the gold, buy the oil. But no, all the countries implode. It's not a cycle like this Dalio thinks. Guy's a fucking idiot. He doesn't understand. And that's when you don't understand, you make up shit. Oh, it's a cycle. No, it's inflation, it's debt, it's getting off the gold standard, it's having wars. That is not a cycle. Those are the reasons why you do that. It's like football. Why did I was watching shit in the 60s. Why did the Packers dominate and why did they not dominate? Change. You have Lombardi and you have Starr and Nitschke and Paul Hornung, and then they leave, but you can't replace. You can't replace Lombardi. You could replace Starr eventually with Favre and Rodgers, but you couldn't replace the system, the power running and the strong defense. You couldn't replace Willie Davis and Nitschke and Willie Wood and Herb Adderley. You couldn't replace those guys. So it dies. Then here come the Steelers. Why did they grow? You got a lot of good players. Why did they die? You couldn't replace Joe Green and Jack Ham and Lambert and Mike Wagner and Franco Harris and Swan and Stallworth you had, but you couldn't replace Bradshaw. They've always had a problem getting quarterbacks, Pittsburgh, for some reason. And so that's why they die out. Then here come the Niners because they stumble onto Montana and a coach smart enough to use them, and they get more players, and they get Ronnie Lott, and they get Jerry Rice. And then why do they die out? Because you can't replace Joe Montana. Steve Young sucked. You can't replace Jerry Rice. You can't replace Ronnie Lott. So eventually these players get older, but you can't replace them. You couldn't replace Bill Walsh. And then here comes Bill Parcells. You couldn't replace Lawrence Taylor. And then here come Jimmy Johnson. You couldn't replace Jimmy Johnson. And then you got Tom Brady. You can't replace Tom Brady. You can replace Belichick, but you couldn't replace Brady. And so it's the replacement. And so in these countries, once you have the gold, you can't replace it. So you can't give it up. So it's like giving up Joe Montana or giving up Franco Harris. You can't get them back. So when you're dealing with gold, you cannot replace the gold. You have to go buy new gold. But once you have the gold, why are you getting rid of it? Why are you going to war? Why are we in Russia now with the Ukraine? Why are we fighting Russia? What are we, insane? What kind of idiots are putting us at war? Why aren't we on the gold standard anymore? We only see it. It's worked every single time. Why are now we with the central bank, which is communism? It's the central bank planning the economy. Oh, we'll print more money. You can't do that. It doesn't work. Only we can control what we want to spend it on. And why are you printing all this money? You're trying to control it. You can't. And why are we off of gold? You can't be off of gold. So, lessons learned. How do you pay? 4 ways to finance a government war: taxes, bonds, fiat money, which is government money, or bank credit, which is Chase and JP Morgan printing the money. Taxes and bonds are not inflation because they're not increasing the supply of money. Fiat and bank credit are. Are there debt and interest? There's no debt with taxes. There is debt with bonds. There's no debt with fiat money, and there is debt with bank credit. So keep in mind there's two types of the inflation, the central bank printing money and the regular banks giving credit out. So that they're both inflationary. They're both printing money. The more money out there, the less it's worth. That's the inflation. I love when I watch some of these channels and they say, "Oh, the inflation. It's not the inflation that's hurting us." Are you out of your fucking mind? You call yourself a finance guy and you don't think there's inflation now? Oh my God. If only you knew the inflation. Well, so all the prices are going up the grocery store and everything costs more, not only because of the tariffs, but mostly because of the inflation. The money's not worth anything. You need more dollars to buy it. How do you say there's no inflation? Well, the government says that. Oh, now we're trusting the government. Oh, okay. That's just great. Just wonderful. Another idiot trying to come on YouTube and show how stupid he is. How did the North finance the war and the Civil War? Greenbacks, fiat money. Lincoln issued greenbacks, two types of money floating around. The greenback traded at a discount, inflated, and gold. I guess who do you think wins? They issued bonds to pay for the gold. The National Bank Act monopoly on the issuance of currencies. Reserve could be bonds, greenback, and gold. They outlawed gold. They outlawed the state bank notes, tax banknotes. Again, the national systems, central city reserve banks, and gold. They had to create a monopoly. That's why they got rid of the other money, gold and banknotes. This led to fiduciary inflation and the trade cycle. Oh, it led to inflation when you didn't have gold 100% of the time. Country banks, city banks, central city banks, and gold. State of large government projects, Transcontinental Radio, the start of it. Transcontinental Railroad, Union Pacific Railroad went east to west. Central Pacific Railroad went west to east. Government highly subsidized the railroads. The first scandal, credit mobilizers, they laid the track and receive land contract company owned by Congress. Why are Congress owning it? Period after the war led to corruption. Oh, because they're printing money. Entrepreneur business was market forces. Political entrepreneur gives favors from government. Again, not part of the Austrian economics playbook. The Democrats were pro-gold and low tariffs. The Republicans were anti-gold and high tariffs. See how everything switches. 1879, U.S. back on the gold standard. Low taxes, little government. Country exploded with economic growth. 1879 to 1914, U.S. was a debtor nation because of expansion. So we went into debt to expand, and that's the point. So the communist at the club says, well, we need the central bank to expand. No, we don't. We can expand with the gold as we did from 1879 to 1914. Anyway, then we get into J.P. Morgan, presidents of New York. He had him on strings. He was an investment banker, imported capital from Europe, railroad, steel, England, prime political entrepreneur, and a lobbyist. Oh, that's where it started. Expert at and building cartels, guaranteed profits, limited competition. So he was Austrian in the fact he knew not to have monopolies and not to have competition because he couldn't compete. He got government to regulate and limit competition, price fixing. He wanted a central bank. And then there's Rockefeller, a business entrepreneur, cost cutter, fought with Morgan with antitrust laws not to have monopolies. Rothschilds controlled the Russian oil well and the presidents in Ohio. Very interesting. So that's what you have. JP Morgan doesn't want competition, so he wants monopolies. Who do you think put the Fed in? JP Morgan. I think, if I understand this correctly, and I'm not sure, Woodrow Wilson was the president, had a stroke, so he wasn't capable of doing it. Sort of like Biden in his last term. And so that's how they got the Fed in, because it's in the Constitution. You cannot have a Fed because it's communist. It's a government running the money, having a monopoly on running the money. So that you can't even have competition. Oh, if you had competition, you could say, well, I don't like this, so I'm going to use this. No, you have to use this. And this is the problem. The monopoly on it, they just keep printing and printing and printing. It's worthless because I can't use this because you made it a monopoly, which is absolutely ridiculous. You never want a monopoly. The only monopoly you really want are utilities. It's too expensive to have another utility plant, but you regulate the utilities. So you tell them you can charge 20 cents a kilowatt hour or whatever, and that's all they can charge. So they can't just raise the cost. Well, we're going to charge everybody $10,000 for their heat and their electricity. No, they have to. The government regulates them. Okay, that's good because you can't have competition in there. Okay, that's fine. I get that. But that's the only monopoly that should exist. The government should not be a monopoly. This is the problem with the government. It's a monopoly. It's not good. Not what you want. So that is the problem. And then you keep printing the money, and then you take the gold out so you can print, and they print for themselves, the government, the Pelosi's who steal the money, and the Bidens and the Obamas and Clintons, and they all walk away with millions and millions of dollars. Well, let's see. I earned 100,000. I don't have $20 million in 5 houses. How did they get that much at their jobs that paid 70, 80 grand? Oh, because they're corrupt and they stole and they printed money. Okay. And they put money into the stock market, but they told everybody first, we're going to put it in Canadian Club. And then they'd all buy Canadian Club. Then they put the money in, the stock went up, and then they sold it. I mean, what a bunch of bullshit. Nothing is legal with these people. And this is the problem. If these are the people in charge and these are the governments, you're totally fucked as a country. What are you going to do? You're totally fucked. So now you have, let's go back to what's going on now. So you have tariffs. Tariffs worked in 1790 and 1800 and kept us out of income tax, which there shouldn't be. Tariffs did that because it allowed government spend, but government's supposed to be small. You shouldn't need 145% tariffs and penalizing China. That's not the point of the tariff. The point of the tariff is to fund the government, which should be about this big. Keep the laws, keep the money, gold, free trade. That's why there's free trade. You do not need the tax people to pay for the government. As you increase the size of the government, it's insanity. It's not anything what was set up, right? There shouldn't be income tax. There shouldn't be a central bank. There shouldn't be money printing without the gold, without the backup, without the anchor. The whole thing's a mess. So now you got China sitting there and they're supplying you with goods cheap. But no, we don't want that. We want to tariff them. We want to pay more for it. Because as I said the other day, okay, it cost me $25 to make this. I'm going to sell it for 40. But now Trump comes in and raises my cost based on tariffs from 25 to 50. Well, wait, I only charge 40 in the market. Now my costs are 50. I either A, go out of business because I'm losing $10 a bottle, or I somehow can raise my price to $60 and make less money and charge more, of which never going to happen. People aren't just going to pay more. It's not the way people are. People are going to decide, I can't afford it. I don't need it. I'll buy something else. And so the tariffs will not work. And then you put a lot of companies out of business, which puts a lot of people unemployed, which now you have to pay unemployment. And then you're getting less taxes because people I'm not making 200 grand. I'm making 30 grand. So this is the problem with tariffs. Tariffs do not work. Again, early in the 1800s, they worked because England would buy cotton from us, and we would charge them probably a very small amount. But England needed the cotton, and the South is the only place you can get the cotton. And we needed stuff from England or France. I know we bought furs from Russia and France and stuff like that. So it depended what you need, and then could you afford what the market beared? So I would try to sell my goods, but I needed to know what the market is. So there was a small tariff because I had small government. You're not supposed to make the government so large that it's a $2 trillion budget, of which you spend five because you made your government so big that you can't afford it. So you can't get rid of income tax, which is what you should do, because that keeps money out of the economy if we have to pay it to the government. There's no need for us to pay anything to the government. The government should never be this big. If Trump had any brains at all, he would just have cut the whole thing. Instead, he had Musk. My friend at the DOD said Musk would ask for 5 things that we did this week. Oh, so you don't trust your employees? Oh, okay. And then you'd have to go into the office because we don't trust you to work at home. So who have you hired? A bunch of criminals that you can't trust? What kind of fucking stupidity is that? This is how Musk thinks. I told him if I'm out of work, if Musk asked me to work for him, I'd tell him to fuck off. I would not work for that crazy guy. He's got no concept of business, of professionalism, of anything. Well, you've got to come into the office because we don't trust if you work from home that you'll get your work done. Well, why don't you just pay me on productivity? Give me a job to do, and when I finish it, you pay me. How about that? Like painting your house. Then if I don't paint, you don't pay me. How about that? Instead of 8 hours or having to be in the office, which is very unproductive. All right, so now we have Basel III coming July 1st, which is going to make gold and silver prices go up because this insane game of COMEX is, well, we'll just trade options, which will set the price of gold. That's why I show you trading places. So Eddie Murphy knows the price of orange juice is going down because he stole the crop report. Why they would do the crop report during the session instead of before the session is beyond me. Why anybody would risk and start buying if they don't know the crop report says. Why wouldn't they wait for the crop report? There should have been no buying and selling until whenever that crop report came out. So it gets jumped up because of some bullshit, and it goes up to 140, and then they start selling, and it goes from 140 to 29. So they make a lot of money. Is that the orange juice price, the 29, or the 142, or the 102? What is the real gold price? None of them. We have no idea because it's not free market. That is called a corrupt option market, and it is no way invented that should be the price of orange juice. The market should control the price of orange juice, just like this. You don't have an option market pricing Canadian Club. Why would orange juice, gold, or silver, or coffee be any different than that? It shouldn't. You put it on the market, and whatever it sells for, that's the price, what the market will bear. We do not have a gold price. So when people say, like idiots, oh, gold's in a bubble. Gold is not in a bubble. The real gold price is up here. 15 grand, 20 grand, 25 grand. The COMEX gold price is hopefully about 3,400 now. How is that in a bubble? At what point is this in a bubble? At what point is this at any accurate value? It is not close to being accurate. The accurate value is here, which we don't know what it is. So nobody can say it's too high or too low. This is not close because it keeps getting pushed down by these option players. So the real price of gold and silver, for that matter, is much, much higher. That's what it is. It is not in a bubble. A bubble is the stock market because nothing is worth what they say because of the tariffs are going to hurt the economy. The inflation's hurt the dollar. So the dollar is everything they have on their balance sheet is overvalued. But gold, how can gold be overvalued? Gold can't be overvalued because we haven't gotten to the value of it yet. So you can't control gold with options and silver and coffee and orange juice with options. You can't do it. You got to do it in the market. So I don't know where this COMEX came up. It's the stupidest idea I've ever heard. So it's probably JP Morgan or Jamie Dimon or one of these idiots. And this is the problem with it. It's totally corrupt. It's totally illegal. It's totally communistic, trying to price control gold and silver. This is what they're doing. We saw that in France, didn't we? Wait a minute. Let's go back to France. And we've got, let's see. 1789, France was the number one economy. Talleyrand, print out money versus the state. And let's see. Robespierre, wage and price controls, reign of terror, chopped off heads. Is that where we're going? Wage and price control. Is that what's happening with gold and silver? We're doing price controls on it. And then we stop chopping heads off because Robespierre did it. It seems like a good thing to do. Oh, by the way, it didn't work. By the way, it bankrupted France. But hey, let's have wage and price controls. It sounds good. I don't know to who. What ends up happening with price controls is as the costs go up, I need to raise the price, but I can't. So I go out of business. That's why the grocery stores have nothing on the shelves, because they got to it now costs them $50. They're selling it for $40. So their costs went up, but now they can't sell it for $60 because of price controls. You can only sell this for $40. But you just raised my costs from 30 to 50. I can't sell it for 40 and make a profit, so I have to go out of business because I am not in business to lose money. This is the wonderful price and wage controls. I don't know why wages need to be controlled. The market controls how much I make, but the price controls that you idiots put on are just incredibly stupid. It's not only it doesn't work, it can't work. Because as the inflation goes, the cost goes up because the money's worth less. So as that, and then you add tariffs, you're raising the cost. But if I can't raise the price, in other words, if it costs me 30, I gotta sell it for 40. If now you raised it where now it costs me 50, I have to sell it for 70. But you got a price control in there that says I can only sell it for 40. Well, I can't cost me 50 and sell it for 40. Are you insane? I can't do that. So I got to go out of business because I'm in business to make it for 30 and sell it for 40 to make $10 a bottle. And if I can't, there's no point in being in business. Nobody's in business to lose money except for the US government, maybe Trump and the Scott Sanders guy and whoever else is George Soros and his team. Don't kid yourself. George Soros is running this country. Trump looks like an idiot because he's just doing what he's telling him. Trump is not running this country. Trump is like a baby now. Trump is too stupid to understand what's going on. He doesn't get it. There's tariffs. You're killing us. You're killing your suppliers because they can't raise the prices. And so we can't get the products in. And Trump can't figure that out. He just did a tariff on steel. What are you thinking? So you're going to push the price of cars up that nobody can afford them, and you're going to push the car companies out of business? And of course, the electric car companies will be out of business. And what are you doing? And for what? You got a debt. You got to deal with 37 trillion. No, I'll just wait 4 years, then I'll get somebody new elected, and then I'll get out and I'll say, geez, I tried to end the war. It took me 4 years, and I tried to, but yeah, gosh darn it, couldn't do it. And that's basically where he's at. He's basically, that's the problem. The president serves his 4 years and probably won't do anything with the debt. He'll just pass it on. And the next poor guy who gets over has to do it. And if it's me, we're on the gold standard, boys. We are off the dollar. So my debt goes to gold, and then 37 trillion goes to about maybe 3 million because now I've adjusted it to gold prices, not monopoly prices. And then I go buy gold, and then I raise the price of my gold to offset the debt. It's very simple. But yeah, the government doesn't work that way. It's all corrupted. So the lobbyists don't want to give up their positions. You got to tell them to fuck off. It doesn't matter. I don't care what you want. You're not running the country anymore. I would kill lobbyists. Problem is, if I tried to kill lobbyists, all the congressmen and senators who are getting paid off by the lobbyists would vote it off. They'd say, no, you can't do that. So it's a big problem. People that are in government are there for the lobbyist money. They're not there to do anything, and they're not willing to lower the government. So we're in a situation, there's no way out. The government will keep getting bigger and bigger. They'll vote themselves raises. The money will go 000 because you keep printing it, but the government's too big and doesn't generate revenue to pay everybody. So you have to print more. You have to pay for the debt, and you have to pay for the defense spending or the military. Social Security, you got more people getting older and more pensions. And you've got people in pensions that are in dollars. Well, you got to keep printing because your government's too big. You have the debt that's 37 trillion going to 50, and you've got Social Security and Medicare and whatever else bullshit, and you got to pay for all the government workers that you can't seem to cut. So you're fucked. There's no way out if you're going to play that game, which you shouldn't be playing. Get back to free trade, get back to a limited government, get back to low taxes, get back to sound money, and you'll be okay. That's the only way to solve this problem. And yet, for some reason, nobody's understands Austrian economics, I guess. They're all Keynesians. They're all Jim Reicherts, Rick Rules, and Peter Schiff's, all these idiots who have no idea. We want communism. We want the government to take. We're too stupid. Let the government handle this. The government puts you in this position, and they can't handle it. There's nothing the government can do here. So this is the real problem. You have these issues. So China's taking advantage. They have all the gold. Russia, BRICS. BRICS is smart enough to have all the gold. They've learned. They saw what was the number one power, and now it's going to be the whole BRICS will be the number one power. 44 countries have joined. And I'm sure another 44 will join. I'm sure 150 will join. I think there's 170 countries. It'll probably get to the point where the U.S. will join, or we'll try to get the gold somehow. They'll realize there's no way out, and you got to join for the gold. If they let us in, which I don't know if they will. So China's, so Trump's trying to bully them. You got to take our money. You got to keep buying our treasuries. They don't want our treasuries. They don't want crap. They don't want things that are worthless that they'll never get paid back. Yeah, give me $1 trillion in bonds. Why? You don't have $1 trillion to pay me back. Why would I buy a bond that I can't? So anybody who's in bonds, Warren Buffett, you're a fucking idiot. Okay, you're in bonds that you'll never get paid on because we got a $37 trillion debt. We got a budget that we don't have enough in to pay it. We go into deficit. We have to buy our own treasuries. And you want to be in treasuries. Good luck there. I don't know why it's so difficult to buy gold and just hold on to it, or buy silver and hold on to it and blow up COMEX, which is going to happen July 1st, because it'll blow out because they're going to make them cover the deliveries. So when people say, I'm going to buy that option, but I want delivery of the gold and silver, you have to cover that. And that's going in July 1st. They're going to have to cover it, and they can't. There's no gold and silver to buy to cover it. So if they're getting gold in, it's probably not theirs. Or if they're getting it from London, it's probably China's gold that they're getting. And that's the big problem. So that's where we're at with it. You have all these issues that you're not solving. And the thing that people really miss is we're still in this. This has no value yet. We're still in it. We haven't gotten out of this. We haven't come up with a new dollar or a gold backed dollar. We're still in this piece of shit. And then you got idiots going, well, inflation's 2%. We're fine with inflation. Oh my God. Well, look at prices year over year. So we just stupidly believe that that's how you measure inflation. Oh my God. This is the problem. I am what's called the man who knew too much, because by knowing what I know it's all bullshit and it's frustrating as hell. I try to teach you so you don't make the same mistake and you realize we're all fucked getting the gold and silver. And a lot of people have. I know a lot of the class, where can I get it? Has the gold, has the silver. And that's good. I'm glad that they are smart enough to understand that, and I'm good enough teaching to they can understand what I'm explaining. They can smell what I'm cooking. And that's where we're at. So China does not want to buy our treasuries because it's worthless, or does Japan. They're all dumping them. The dollars are coming back. That's massive inflation. Prices can't go up. Well, it's a double-edged sword. On one hand, prices go up because the dollar's not worth anything. On the other hand, prices will only go up if the market will allow it. So Coke can't, even though the inflation's hitting them, they can't make the 2-liter $10. Nobody will buy it. So you're caught in this catch-22 was the dollar's worthless, so I need to charge more, but the market won't pay more. What do? I saw a bunch of stuff at the grocery store yesterday. My dark chocolate is $4.74. Oh, but if you buy 2 for $8, so it's only $4. Why don't you just mark it down to $4? Why are you 2 for $8? And yet you're still $1.50 higher than my Walmart dark chocolate, which is $2.50. So why? I'm not going to buy your shit anyway. And same thing with avocados. The avocados at Meijer's are now $2.97 or $2.77. This was 97 cents at Walmart. They're obviously buying it at a different spot. It's cheaper. It tastes. It's an avocado. It's the same avocado at either store. They're not doing anything different. So I don't understand how they can compete with 2.75 and it's 96 cents. So I just simply drive to Meijer's for my dark chocolate and that, and I'm fine. My tuna, not a lot, but I will look at the grass-fed meat at Walmart's. It might be cheaper, but that's how it works. In all my thing that I said, Rome, England, France, Spain, it was all inflation. They all printed their money to zero, and they all went to war. And that's why a country dies. And then they have big government. And that's really the biggest problem, because how do you pay the government? They don't earn revenue. They don't produce revenue. They manage the country. Well, there's no revenue in that. So you can't have a big government. You must keep it small to pay for it, because if it gets too big, like it is here, I mean, where are you going to get the money to pay everybody? Oh, we'll print it. Let's tax everybody at 100%. Well, that won't work. Nobody would work. Would you work if you're getting taxed at 100%? So your paycheck was zero? Yeah, I made 10 grand, but they taxed me at 10 grand and I made zero. Yeah, probably not. And the economy would fall apart because nobody would have money to spend in the economy. So this is the problem. So you have big government, cost. You have inflation, cost. You have interest on the debt from the inflation, cost. You have a military, cost. You don't have gold and silver to keep your money pure, cost. This is why all the countries keep going out. They just don't get it. You can't keep printing money until it goes to zero. And you must back it by gold. You must have competition. You must have 2 or 3 governments, not one. They probably wouldn't get along either, but you can't have one president, and you cannot have one government. And I don't mean Democrat and Republican. You need government A and government B. two different governments, two different governors, two different senators, two different Congress people. You need you need teams. It's like football, right? You got 32 teams. Let them compete. That's what you need 32 governments, basically, to see who wins the Super Bowl each year. That's the idea of what you need. You don't need, let's say football had one team. Yeah, they'd win the Super Bowl every year. I mean, how bad would that product be? So keep in mind, that's really the issue. So all this stuff Trump's doing with tariffs is terrible. It makes costs go up. They can't raise prices. You're going to have massive unemployment. Or what China's doing is saying, fuck you. I'm not going to sell to the US because their dollar's worthless. So I'm going to sell to Japan, and I'm going to sell to Brazil, and I'm going to sell to India. I'm selling my products to different things, just as Russia and Saudi Arabia are selling their oil to China and different countries. And that's the way it works. Africa needs gold, and then they will buy from China, and they will buy from India, and they will buy from Vietnam. And guess what? Nobody's going to buy from the U.S. because the U.S. is like the bully dictating what everybody should do. Everybody's like, fuck off. I'll do what I want to do. I don't want to be told what to do. This is why nobody wants CBDCs. If they actually make them and they actually try to control us, and if they use this as the money for the CBDCs, it won't work for 5 minutes because this is worthless. So if you're on CBDCs, guess what? If you're dealing with, if it's backed by this, like Bitcoin's backed by this. How comfortable are you with your Bitcoin if it's in this? This is worth nothing. So your Bitcoin's got $100,000 that's worthless. You're real comfortable in your Bitcoin. Stock market, bond market, money in the bank. It's all worthless crap. So are you really that comfortable? And then one day it'll be worthless, and they'll say, the dollar's worthless. And everybody will go, oh, they didn't tell me. They didn't want to cause a panic. No, we're telling you. You're just not listening because you think that we're wrong, or you think you know better, or how could the government do it because you actually trust this government is beyond me. And all you got to do is buy gold and silver, and you don't have to worry about it. And don't fucking worry about the price of gold and silver. Don't worry that silver's 36 an ounce. Don't worry that gold's only 33 or 3,400, hopefully by now. Don't worry about that. What you worry about is you have it, is that you're out of the dollar. I don't own this. I'm safe. On the Titanic, I am now in the lifeboat. That's why I use it. That's what you have to think. This is the Titanic. It hit the iceberg. It's sinking. You either sink to the bottom of the Atlantic and die, or you get into the lifeboat. It's your choice. The lifeboat is gold and silver, but that includes Bitcoin, stocks, your money in the bank, real estate trust, most of your land. I mean, the only safe other part of the lifeboat is the baseball cards and the Rolex. Things that are real assets that have a value is your only out. To stay in dollars is ridiculous. Okay, Mahomes makes $60 million a year. It's not worth anything. 60 million of monopoly money is still zero. So you're paying him that much, but it's worth zero. I talked to Bobby, and Bobby had that big contract with I think the Mets, when they're paying him like they're paying him $1 million a year for 35 years. And he thought he was so clever, and I would have fired the attorney for that suggestion. That was the stupidest thing he could have done. Because as we know, when you're printing the money and the inflation's heating up, the million in the first year is worth a lot more than the million in the last year. So his million now is worth $10,000. His million the first year is worth $1 million. So I would have either lump summed it, or I would have said, I want to get paid in gold because I know gold will hold its value. And now he'd be getting, let's say he was getting 500 ounces back then, and now he'd be getting more ounces now, but his million would actually be worth $1 million. So unless Mahomes is smart enough or Joe Burrow to ask for gold, all the money they're making is worthless. And I love the game the attorneys play. Well, you want to be the highest paid quarterback. So, this guy's 40 and this guy came in at 42 and the next guy's at 43. Where is that coming from? How are these owners this stupid? Oh, I got to have the quarterback. If he's your property and he doesn't want to take $10 million, sit him on the bench. And then he gets nothing. And then let's say how much he likes that. I'm not going to pay him, but he's my quarterback. If you don't, this is what I think you're worth. This is what I'm going to pay. It's a fair trade. It's not a fair trade to pay Jared Goff $60 million. It's not a fair trade. But the kicker is it's not even in real money. It's in monopoly money. So when these guys make that kind of money, it's not even real money. And it'll go out very soon because basically nobody wants it. A, it's been printed to death. And B, that makes nobody want it. No demand, no value. Just like this. I want to sell it for 50. Nobody will pay me 50 for it. It has no value. Maybe at $10 I could sell it. And that's how the dollar is. Nobody wants it. Nobody's buying our treasuries because they'll never get paid back. No demand, no value. Nobody wants the dollar, no value. And that's what's happening. So it could be tough for me to travel if I've got my credit card to try to get a plane ticket in a hotel. Might not be possible because it'll be in dollars. Now, the savior of Rome will be the gold and silver. Oh, I have silver, and then we'd have to figure out what currency they'll take. But if it's brics, they'll take gold and silver because that's what they're doing business in. So that's what we'll need is gold-backed brics currency to survive. So that's why you buy the gold and silver, and that's what you trade it for. Hopefully we won't have to fly to Russia to get it, or Brazil, or one of these BRICS countries. We'll all go to Saudi Arabia. We'll meet bin Laden there, or whatever that guy's name is. The Live Golf Tour will be there, and that's what we can do. So keep that in mind. If you just play blind or play stupid, it's not a smart thing. If you trade all your money into gold and then you need money, you have an expense, then you need money, then just go sell one of the ounces of gold. So get 1,000 ounces of gold and then go sell one of them. You don't sell the whole 1,000, you sell one, you get the money, then you go pay your bill or whatever you want to do with it. And that's it. I mean, the gold and silver will always sell. The dollar will not. The dollar will go to zero. Not maybe, it will. And I've given you 5 examples. France, England, Spain, Holland, Rome, Germany. What happened in the Weimar Republic? It went to zero. Hello, McFly. It went to zero. It happens all the time. Venezuela, look at Zimbabwe. I mean, Argentina's zero. They're all fucking broke. Greece went broke. Pakistan's broke. Sri Lanka's broke. They're all doing the same game, printing, running up the debt, having the government. Eventually, nobody wants their dollars. So Zimbabwe had it right. They came out with the ZIG, which is gold back. Not that hard. I don't know why it's so hard. I really don't. It's very, very simple. You want to survive and live nice, you buy gold, and you want freedom. Otherwise, stay in the dollar and wonder where your next meal is coming from. That's your choice. But it's very, very simple. This is why we buy gold and silver here, because we understand that we're all fucked because we don't trust the government, because we see what the government does. They're idiots. It's all payoffs. It's all lobbyists. It's guys like Trump who are trying to do tariffs. For what reason? You're bankrupting us. Why are you bankrupting us? Jesus Christ. It's just really, really insane. So that's all I can say. So let's look at the baseball. Let's go to happier times. We got the Mets, 2 units, 49ers, 3 units, Detroit, 2 units, Kansas City over 9-2, and the Cubbies 2. Mostly our bet on the pitchers. NBA tomorrow, we like Indiana getting 6.5. It's a joke. They'll probably win the game, but if they do lose, it'll be a close game. OKC is not a very good team. Indiana they're both kind of even. They're both average. If this was in the 80s, they'd be Portland, right? They could score points. They're not winning anything. Maybe that's it. They're not the Lakers. They're not the Pistons. They're not Larry Bird in Boston. They're not Jordan. They're nowhere near that level of these teams. So to say OKC's going to go to Indy and win by 6.5, you're out of your mind. They could barely beat them at home. They're not. So they had one game and they won a lot, but the other two, Indiana won. Let's just discount that. Let's ignore that happened. And OKC's the better team. Based on what? It's like saying, well, the dollar will be okay. It'll strengthen up. There's no way. You've printed so much money, and now you're doing tariffs, which people are doing. They're selling your T-bills. China and Japan are selling out of your T-bills and giving it back to you and buying gold. How is gold not going up? And then how does the dollar keep its value when they're getting more? And let's not forget, how did China and Japan get the money in the first place? Selling goods to the U.S. We gave them money. It is even trade. There is no trade difference. They gave us $1 trillion in goods. We gave them $1 trillion in paper. Money, it's the same. It's an even trade. To say there's a trade imbalance shows you how stupid these people are. And that's not what it's for. It's not. It's supposed to be free trade. It's not supposed to be, well, if China sent us $1 trillion, we're supposed to send them. Oh, China tariffs our cars there. We can't sell Fords and GMs. Well, I got news for you. You're not selling that crap in China because theirs are much cheaper. If they tariffed you or not, who gives a fuck? Don't sell in China then. Go sell in Germany. Oh, wait, we can't. We can't compete with Mercedes. Right. We don't compete with much, but you don't need to sell them there. You have the market in the U.S. People in the U.S. are stupid enough to buy Ford and GMs. So really, that's it. There's no trade imbalance. Inflation is many, many times over 1,000%, 2,000%, whatever. Just do the math. Gold at 35 is now 3,400. Do the math. How much is that? 1,000%, 10,000%. It's certainly not 2%, and it doesn't go year versus year. It's not year over year prices. Where's that? That's like, what did Keynes come up with that one, or George Soros? The fuck are you using that for inflation for? That's not inflation. Oh, inflation's not the problem. Yeah, the dollar's worthless. It doesn't have a value. So you know, yeah, 2% my ass. So this is what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a bunch of morons, but we're dealing with people that won't ask the question. Won't say, how did you get 2%? And why are you using year over year when it should go back to 1971 when you went off of gold, or 1972? That's when the inflation started, not 2024. Well, between 2024 and 20, what are you expecting? 2% my ass. So just, you're hearing so many bad things. It just really irks me. And again, these tariffs and Trump begging them to, please buy our goods. That's not what you do in the market. You sell something. I sell Teaserking. I sell football games. I do not beg anybody to buy them. If you want to make money, I'm very good at it. And you can see my history, and I make money, and you can make money. Please buy. I don't say you must buy or you have to buy. If you want to win, you'll buy. And if you don't want to win, go buy somebody else's. It's up to you. That's it. I can't force you to buy from me. Just like I can't force anything. All I can do is present it. I can't force Daria to meet me. I can't force this to happen or that to happen. All I can do is say, I'd like to meet, and you answer. And if you answer no, then okay, fine. See you later. And I'll look for a girl that will meet me. If she says yes, then fine. But I can't control her response. I hope it's a yes, but I can't control it. And I can't control if you buy from me, if you buy my picks, or if you come to class and listen about Austrian economics and have your words read out of my notes. It's not an opinion. Nothing I say is an opinion. It's all fact, and I give you the facts. So the dollar will go out. That's a fact. Just like everything else, the Rome's, the France, the English, and the tariffs are bad. There's nothing good that's going to come out of the tariff, except for a lot of businesses will go out of business. And if you don't, any country that has gold-backed currency, you run to and buy their gold. You buy their dollars if you can, if you're allowed to. We won't say we're Americans, or we'll make friends, and like Daria can buy for us. She's in Russia. So really, that's the whole key to it. So anyway, I think that's it. That's baseball. That's basketball, football, Aaron Rodgers. Today's Thursday. Tomorrow is Mark McGuire, and he should be by himself so we can actually watch it. Last Friday's was unwatchable, as most of his is when he's got guests on. All we know is inflation's huge. Gold's the only answer. Tariffs are terrible. I don't care what Trump or Scott says. They try to make people Trump, oh, you got to do it or we'll tariff you. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody wants your money. Do you want people to have something to buy here or not, Trump? And this is I'll leave you with this. This is the problem I don't understand. You're driving cost up. So if you go to Target or Walmart, everything's $10 more. What are you doing? Well, that way I can get taxes, on the good and pay down our debt. Yeah, okay, it doesn't work that way, fella. All it does is drive the prices up, and they go out of business because they can't make profit or they sell to other countries, which is what they're doing. All right. Anything else? All right. www.teaserking.com. By the way, Majender, we have a guy, Pat, from Singapore who comes on. And my friends from Europe come on. So we have pretty worldwide people from all over. When I'm in Portugal or Barcelona and I'm up at 8 a.m. there and at 3 a.m. here, I got people tuning in from there, happy to get it. So anyway, that's it. www.teaserking.com. Have a good day, everybody. Take care. Good luck. Buy your gold and silver. Figure you got till July 1st, especially in silver. You can see it's already going up. That's a good sign. That is not in a bubble at all. It's a reverse bubble. All right. Take care, everybody.